America is staring down the barrel of yet another government shutdown. It's like that recurring nightmare where you show up to school naked, except instead of being naked, it's the entire federal government grinding to a halt. And instead of shame, it's the very real possibility of vital services disappearing. But fear not, dear citizens, for Trump has ridden in on his golden golf cart with a bill that he claims will save the day. Will it be a glorious sunrise or a dumpster fire of epic proportions? Let's dive in, shall we? This isn't just some boring political squabble, folks. We're talking about real-world consequences here. A shutdown means national parks turning into glorified outhouses, federal employees working without pay, which, let's be honest, is how most of us feel all the time, and a whole lot of political finger-pointing. It's like watching toddlers fight over a juice box, only the toddlers have nuclear codes. So, what's in this magical bill that's supposed to save us all? Well, imagine a Frankenstein's monster, stitched together from bits of budget proposals and held together by executive orders. That's essentially what we're dealing with here. On the surface, it seems simple enough. Keep the government funded through early 2026. Sounds reasonable, right? But like that free cruise you won on a scratch-off ticket, there's a catch. Actually, make that several catches. First up, the bill throws a big fat bone to the military, boosting defense spending by a cool $8 billion. Because nothing says fiscal responsibility like throwing more money at weapons we hopefully never have to use. Then there's the nearly $1 billion increase for ICE because apparently building walls and separating families wasn't expensive enough. But where does all this money come from, you ask? Well, it's like robbing Peter to pay Paul, except Peter is every social program you can think of. That's right, folks, we're talking about slashing non-defense spending by a whopping $13 billion. And if that wasn't enough to make you choke on your morning coffee, the bill also completely eliminates funding for community projects. You know, those pesky little things like after-school programs, infrastructure repairs, and support for the arts. Because who needs a functioning society when we can have more tanks, right? As you can imagine, this bill has sparked a political firestorm that would make a California wildfire blush. Unsurprisingly, the reactions have fallen pretty neatly along party lines. The Republicans, bless their hearts, are caught in a classic case of damned if you do, damned if you don't. On the one hand, they desperately want to avoid a shutdown, because let's face it, nobody looks good when the government grinds to a halt. On the other hand, even some of them can see that this bill is about as popular as a fart in a spacesuit. The Democrats, meanwhile, are having a field day with this thing. They're painting the bill as a heartless attack on the most vulnerable Americans, and frankly it's not hard to see why. Cutting funding for essential programs while boosting defense spending is a bit like putting a band-aid on a bullet wound and calling it a day. It's not exactly a winning strategy, but the real kicker, the piece de resistance, the cherry on top of this dumpster fire Sunday, is the inclusion of the DOGE initiative. Now, I'm not talking about the cryptocurrency that everyone thought was a joke until it wasn't. I'm talking about the Defunding of Government Excess initiative, which basically gives Trump the power to slash government spending at will. So there you have it, folks. Trump's bill to avert a government shutdown is a tangled web of contradictions, questionable priorities, and potential for abuse. It's like a political thriller where you can't tell who the good guys are, only that everyone's probably going to lose in the end. The stakes are high, the clock is ticking, and the American people are caught in the middle. Will this bill be the miracle cure for what ails our government, or will it be the final nail in the coffin? Only time will tell.